Buy on MTG. Construct your deck. Command your board. Conquer the table.
Hello everybody on the wide world of web. This is Rob with Buy on MTG. So this is going to be a bit of like a combo video. It's going to be like a mail day kind of thing in conjunction with a memory lane video. So I'm going to go ahead and pop on the overhead camera. What you're seeing here is my unlimited binder. So I'm sure if you look through my mail day videos in the past, you'll see that I've been pretty steady picking up unlimited, and I recently did a trip back home to Florida from Washington State, and I got a pretty good chunk to put into the unlimited binder, and I figured there's no time like the present to kind of do a combo video and include this into my memory lane series, because it came out before Arabian Nights, but my memory lane series starts at Arabian Nights. So I think I'll change the titles to number them, and I'll put this as number 0 or maybe number 1. But I'm going to go ahead and scoot this over, make sure it is all in the camera. Move that over, and yeah, there doesn't appear to be any glare. There is a little bit of shadow, but that's just where my lights are. So this is my unlimited set, and you are going to probably notice as we go through it, there are some cards that will be upside down. Now, when they are upside down, that implies that it is a proxy and that it's not a legitimate card. But that's kind of the mail day part of this video. All right, looking through these, and I'm going to approach these from an old school perspective. So not just what Magic was back in the 90s, but also what it is today in the old school format. And I'm currently tinkering around with Eternal Central. That's the format that I've been fiddling around with the most. Air Elemental, 4/4 flyer for 5. So it goes up against the Serra Angel, but it's not as good as Serra because it doesn't have Vigilance. So it's an okay card. It's just not the same quality. Ancestral Recall, everybody knows this is what's considered one of the Power 9. It's just an amazing card. Instant speed, 1 blue mana, draw 3. You're hard-pressed to find a better card than this, and weirdly enough, in my personal opinion, this is the strongest of the Power 9. The card advantage is amazing. It's insanely easy to get to. 1 blue mana, you can fork it and draw more, you can regrowth it, you can draw more, you can recall it and draw more. It's just insanely strong. And to me, in the length of a game, this does way more work than Black Lotus. I might be, if you disagree with me, go ahead and put it in the comments down below. I love the open dialogue. But to me, hands down, bar none, when I draw this card, this is I feel substantially better with the hand. I think this is the best of the Power 9. Animate Artifact, no real love for that. Animate Dead does see a little bit of play. It's a good card. Bringing something back, especially if somebody Hemp-to-Turak you, or they hit you with a Hypnotic Spectre and they make you bin something or throw it to the graveyard, you can bring it right back. Animate Wall, nothing. Ankh of Mishra, fringe play. Armageddon, though, there's a deck called Armageddon, and this is definitely a linchpin of it. I mean, it's in the namesake, half Urnam Djinn, half Armageddon. Amazing card. Aspect of the Wolf, no real play. Bad Moon, no real play. Dual lands. Dual lands in general always are a way to make the gameplay of the deck substantially better. It smooths out your mana base. Just a great card. The Balance, to me, is one of the strongest cards in this set. It does a lot more than just doing the catch-up function, because the deck that I play specifically runs virtually no creatures, and the creatures that I do run are like Mishra's Workshop or Mishra's Factory, so they're not a creature until I activate them. So when I balance, even if I have a huge card advantage, I can essentially board wipe if I burn out real quick, like I get a hand that's real fast with a couple Moxes, a Lotus, blah, blah, blah. Before I crack that Ancestral Recall, I can balance, make them discard, make it pretend that it's a Mind Twist, and then Ancestral Recall, and then I have a huge advantage. There's just an amazing card. Basalt Monolith, it does see some play in the shops kind of decks, and with power artifact, it's infinite mana. Moving on, we got Bayou, another dual land, great card, Benelish Hero. Got Banding. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Berserk is a great card because you do it in conjunction with other things. Like you can Giant Growth it, you can Bloodlust it, and then you Berserk it and go ahead and knock somebody out. We're going to get to the first upside down card. Yep, it's still visible. This is Birds of Paradise. And it's upside down, like I mentioned earlier, because it is a proxy, printing proxies. Well, let's go ahead and get rid of that one because now we got a real one that I did not pick this up in Florida, but I picked up everything else. And it was just like, there's one more card. So I just went ahead and ordered it off of TCG Player. I personally love the chase of getting and finding all these cards out in the wild. But I'm not going to lie, a little bit of my, it was the last card that I needed. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to order it. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that in there. And Birds of Paradise, great card. Mana Dork. Taps for any color, fixes mana issues. It's just a great card. Black Knight. That Pro White carries a lot of power in Old School because Swords to Plowshare and Lightning Bolt do all of the heavy lifting for most removal. There are decks that approach it differently, like Wrath of God does get around Pro White because it doesn't target it. You can still block it with a Mishra's Factory and tap to make itself a 3/3, so you can still block and kill it. But Swords does a lot of work in Old School, and it's protection from Swords, so gets around it. Black Lotus, super iconic. Everybody knows that card. Even people that have no clue about Magic usually know about Black Lotus. Great card. I'm not going to ramble on about it. Everyone that plays Magic and probably everyone watching this video knows how powerful that is. But as I alluded to earlier, I believe Ancestral Recall is more powerful and more iconic to me than Black Lotus. Black Vice, used in a lot of land destruction decks. So things that run Strip Mine, Stone Rain, Sinkhole, Ice Storm. Those decks are pretty powerful, and cutting off mana bases is a fast way to shut somebody else down. They can draw as many cards as they want. If you're blowing up every one of their lands, they only get that one at a time. The downside about something like those decks is Old School is also very mana rock intensive, so you still have to run things like the Disenchant. But Disenchant is a powerhouse card, and you're going to run it regardless. But you run Disenchant to get rid of their Moxes or Fel Wars Stones, anything like that. But you also run it to deal with their enchantments. The Wards, I'm just going to skip those. Those are garbage. Blaze of Glory, it's got a small novel on it, and essentially it says it doesn't do a lot, so nobody really runs that. And if you do run it in your Old School deck, I'd love to hear about it. What is the fringe or thing that you're doing with this that makes it so great? Blessing is awesome in just a mono white deck, but it doesn't really see a whole heck of a lot of play. Blue Elemental Blast, and we'll get to it later, Red Elemental Blast. So Beb and Reb, amazing. I use them in sideboard a lot because Red Burn is pretty dangerous, and bolts are pretty dangerous. That fireball is pretty dangerous. Shivan's pretty powerful. I use it in sideboard to bring it in case I'm playing against a burn deck. Bogwraith, whatever, doesn't really do a lot, doesn't really see a lot of play. Brain Geyser, on the other hand, is insanely powerful. We all know in Old School, there's not the density or the quality of card draw that is in current generation Magic. Ancestral Recall aside, it's an amazing card. I will say between Ancestral Recall and Library of Alexandria, they do all of the heavy lifting, but you need more than just two cards that are restricted. So you got Brain Geyser, also restricted, and Jamed Tome, but we'll get to that one later. But Jamed Tome does a lot of work for card draw, but Brain Geyser, pretty great. Burrow, no love. Camouflage, no love. Castle, nope. Celestial Prism, nope. Channel, amazing card. Half of the big combo of the Channel Fireball. And I mean, that's become iconic, so iconic that there's entire game stores that are named after it. Chaos Orb, just a generically powerful removal spell. Really expensive for the only format it being legal in is Old School. But, you have to, the kind of errated, and I can pop up the errated text, but more or less you pick a single permanent so you don't do the flip thing and whatever it lands on, it destroys all of it. And there's the old tail that somebody tore it up so that way they threw it and it covered the whole board. But they kind of errated it to bring it down to just the single permanent because that makes a lot more sense. People don't play with their playmat as soon as it's on the stack, like you're about to resolve it. Everybody moves their permanents so far apart you could only hit one thing anyways. So it's just a single permanent removal. Laces are garbage. Cops, Circle of Protection. The only one I've ever really used was red. I guess you could potentially use black. Mono black is a pretty powerful deck, but the only one I've ever really used is red. Clockwork Beast, I've never really used it. Clone, every now and then I'll fiddle around with it if I'm trying to do a high density of creatures. Cockatrice is like Basilisk. It's neat. It kills stuff that block it. But the lure combo, it's a lot of work for creature removal, so it doesn't really see much love. Consecrate, no. Conservator, no. Contract from Below, if you are in an anti-league, is the best card in the game. I mean, yes, it's sorcery, but it is 1 black, discard your hand, you draw 8 cards, but the first one goes as a secondary ante. It is 1 black mana, draw 7 cards, essentially. This is the best card in the game, hands down, but nobody really plays anti-leagues, especially in Old School, because they're expensive, whatever. Control Magic is a great card. Stealing somebody else's Sarah Angel, stealing their Vesuvian Doppelganger, whatever, is a lot of fun. I don't personally use it, but I have used it in the past. Conservation, nope. Copper Tablet, nope. Copy Artifact, on the other hand, great card. There's a lot of fun stuff to do with it. You can make another John Tome. Majority of the time, what I ended up doing with it was activating my Mishra's Factory. I would copy it because it became an artifact creature, and then I had essentially mana ramp, so I had another one. Counterspell, phenomenal card. In Old School that I play, mana drain is restricted, so really your counter suite is Counterspell, 1 mana drain. I like Power Sync also, but not everybody does. I just like Power Sync. But Counterspell, wonderful card. Crawlworm, nope. Creature Bond, nope. Crusade, it's a great card. It's the opposite of Bad Moon. There are leagues that have it banned for cultural insensitivity. And if that's what you believe, then great. I'm not going to get into it because I'm just going to keep moving on in cards. Crystal Rod, I've never used it. I don't use any of those silly things. Curse Land, I don't use it. Cyclopean Tomb, it's a fun card, but I've never really used it. Dark Ritual, on the other hand, if I'm in a mono black deck, of course I'm using it because it's ridiculously powerful. And it's essentially a 1 mana Lotus in a mono black deck. And you can have 4 of them in conjunction with your Lotus, and you're ramping out super fast. The only downside about a mono black deck is they don't have enough card draw. So I never do just mono black. I don't personally. Dark Pact, another anti-card. Death Ward is junk. Death Grip, not really great. Laces, I'm skipping on past them like I did earlier. And still, no upside down cards. Demonic Attorney, it's another anti-card. Demonic Hordes, some people use it. I personally do not. Its upkeep cost is way too steep for me. Some people do use it, and it's neat to bring it back with Animate Dead, but I don't personally use it. Demonic Tutor, on the other hand, if I can put it in a deck, I'm going to use it. It's great. It goes and gets you whatever the answer is you need at the time. Yeah, just a wonderful card. Dingus Egg. I've never personally used it. It's just land hate. Some decks do use it, like the aforementioned Strip Mine deck that I was talking about earlier, the land destruction deck. Some people use it just so they can nickel and dime that damage in case somebody hard targets all their black vices. Disenchant, one of the best removal spells in Old School. It does a ton of heavy lifting. I would say this is only second to Swords to Plowshare, and I place Disenchant above Bolt because it answers so many things, and disenchanting somebody's Mishra's Factory, disenchanting their Clockwork Avian, disenchanting anything, a Jade, their Jomed Tome, everything. It's so good. And people do run strong enchantments. There is still Sylvan Library. There is still Greed. There are good enchantments. I run Abyss as a sideboard card, and sometimes somebody hits mine, Disintegrate is just a variant of Fireball. I think it's more situational but less useful. It does get around the whole regeneration thing, so if you're playing against a Disco Troll deck or something, but I don't really use it. Disrupting Scepter is awesome in the control matchup. It breaks the symmetry of all their extra card draw. I do like Disrupting Scepter. Dragon Whelp, I never really used it. Drain Life, I use it as a one of when I was playing Mono Black, but I don't really use it too much. Drain Power, no. Drudge Skeleton, no. Dwarven Demolition Team, no. Dwarven Warrior, no. We're going to burn through a lot that, for me, aren't that amazing, and if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Earth Elemental, no. Earthbind. Quentin Hoover artwork, that's its biggest redeeming quality. Earthquake, some people do use it as a win condition in mono red because you're doing so much direct damage that normally you are ahead in life, so this is just a good way to close it. 2/1 First Strike, Elvish Archers. Some people do use it. I've never really been a mono green guy. I think if I'm going to splash green, it's going to be for Llanowar Elves or Birds of Paradise, and just pepper in a little bit for, I would say, Regrowth and Sylvan Library. For me, that's about all the green that I do, unless I'm doing an Urnum-Geddon deck, of course, for Urnum Degen. Evil Presence, no. False Orders, no. Farmstead, no. Fast Bond is crazy strong. It doesn't see nearly as much love, but it's a good card. I mean, anytime you 1 green mana, and then you just pay a bunch of life and dump all your lands, it breaks the symmetry of the 1 land per turn and can ramp you pretty well. I suppose I could add that to my green list. Fear, no. Feedback, no. Fire Elemental, no. Not a fan. Fireball, super iconic with Channel, just a great card. And it can close a lot of games out. Fire Breathing turns something into a Shivan Dragon with the pump ability. Flash Fire sees a lot of sideboard love to go against those anti or mono white decks. I don't personally use it because I tend to splash white because it's in this era, blue and white are where my heart lies. Like I love the control shell and I love card draw, so I'm a blue and white player. So I don't run stuff like that. I don't run things like Tsunami. We'll get to that later because it would probably hurt me more. Flight, no real love. Fog is cute. If you're playing against a go wide deck, I don't ever really use it. Force of Nature, similar to the Demonic Hordes, I feel like the upkeep cost is too much. The cost to cast it is too much. To me, big stompies, what do they refer to him as? Timmy. I'm not a Timmy player. I'm a quality over quantity. I don't need the big giant monster. I want to nickel and dime somebody, and I'm willing to play the long game. Force Field is a great card. I mean, I don't personally use it. People really do like it. There's a lot of where the color, the force field itself is the edge of the continuation of the Mox Jet artwork. I'll point that out when we get to the Mox Jet. There were 3 forests in Unlimited, unlike Alpha, where Alpha only had 2 forests, these 2. And Beta, they introduced the 3rd artwork, and that was continued forward through Revised, etc. Fork, great card. It's a lot of fun, especially if somebody hits you with something big, you can fork it right back at them. And with the way that the stack works, that one would resolve first. So if somebody fireballs you and you fork it, your fireball would resolve before their fireball. So they would die before you die. And when the player is removed, all of their spells are removed from the stack. So it's an easy way to steal a win if somebody goes all in and combos out and channels real big, and you're like, oh, thank you for that 20 fireball damage. By the way, it's yours first. Frozen Shade, it's a good card. Fungasaur, I mean, Frozen Shade's fun. Fungasaur, not that great. Gaia's Liege is another one of the just giant creatures that doesn't speak to me, but some people like it. Gauntlet of Might is a cute one. Some people use it, I think, more so. So it's like more of the hipster version of a Gauntlet of Power if you are a current generation Commander player, because Gauntlet of Power is really a little bit better. It pumps up, but you get to pick the color, etc. But Gauntlet of Might just doing the mono red. And this one is signed by Christopher Rush, and this is his first generation autograph. I don't know if I can get this to come in clear. I don't even know if it'll do that, but I'll try and lower it a little bit. Yeah, if you look, first generation Christopher Rush autograph. His autographs now are before he passed. The third generation ones are a lot longer and they cover a bigger area. Giant Growth is a great card. It's part of the 1-for-3 cycle we've already seen. Ancestral Recall, which is the blue 1-for-3. We saw 1-for-3 cards. We saw Dark Ritual, which is 1-for-3 mana. We're going to see Giant Growth right now, which is 1-for-3/3 power and toughness. Later, we'll get to Lightning Bolt, which is 1-for-3 damage. And the worst one, Poor Mono White, is 1-for-3 life, which we all know is hot garbage comparatively. Anyways, Giant Spider, it's a great card. I mean, it blocks stuff. So if you're doing just a creature-based deck, it does a little bit of work. Glasses of Urza, it's neat, but I don't personally ever use it. Gloom is a good sideboard card if you're playing against that mono white deck. It can shut them down pretty well. Goblin Balloon Brigade. So we didn't have a lot of goblins at this point in the game, but we did get more of them throughout, and then we got a ton of them in Fallen Empires. So Goblin King, the first Goblin Lord. Goblins in play get Mountain Walk and +1/+1. He's a 2/2 for 3. Just a fun card. Granite Gargoyle. Let's see. It is... The flavor text is pretty amazing, but it's the Underworld Cookbook by Asmaronica. What is it? Asmarana Cardica Discumta Culdikar or something like that. I don't know. But that was made into, and I'll pop it up later, into an actual Magic card. So this ridiculously long name was made into a Magic card. So that's kind of cool. Gray Ogre is a nothing burger. Green Ward, also nothing. Still no upside down cards. So plugging right along. Grizzly Bears, it's a bear. 2/2 for 2. Whatever. Guardian Angel, really no love. This is the unfortunate mono white 1-for-3. It's terrible. Sees no love, etc. Banding can give a creature banding anything. It's like a Helm of Kutsu is ridiculously powerful. It could break the game if you're not careful. Hill Giant is whatever. Holy Armor, Holy Strength. When I was a young kid, I used to think these were amazing, and I ran them all the time. And yeah, they don't do the work that I was hoping they did. Howl from Beyond can close the game out. you can get got with a Howl from Beyond. Howling Mine I run sometimes, but only in decks with Icy Manipulator and or Twiddle. I want to have a method to tap it, because if it's tapped, it's turned off, and I don't want to feed my opponent's cards. I don't really, even if I'm doing like an Underworld Dreams build or something like that, where they take damage from drawing, I'm not feeding my opponents. That's not in my priorities of deck building. Hurling Minotaur, iconic artwork, not a great card. Hurricane's another mass damage, mass removal, but I don't really run it. Hypnotic Spectre, on the other hand, I run that a lot because I strongly believe whoever has the most cards and the most mana wins the game. That's why I prioritize card draw first, ramp second, and then card disadvantage for my opponents, and maybe land disadvantage for my opponents, or land destruction. I think with those 4 things, you can usually win a game because you just have more resources. But Hippie, great card. And the random aspect of the discard is a lot of fun because it's like, well, they got a full grip. They just demonic tutored. Can you get the thing they tutored for? Ice Storm, great land destruction spell. Icy Manipulator. I use this quite a bit because I love tapping stuff down. I think breaking the symmetry on things like Howling Mine. If somebody taps to put mana into their Mishra's workshop or factory rather, because they're going to swing at me, they've now wasted that mana. So then I'll tap it in response. So that way it's activated, but it's already tapped, so it can't attack me. It's also a good way to shut off a Sarah Angel, or at least put its shields down for a little bit. This in conjunction with Paralyze is hilarious. If they pay the 4 mana to untap it with Paralyze and you're like 1 mana, tap it back down, it'll make somebody upset. Illusionary Mask, I don't like this card. There's too much. It's cute, but there's too much going on to make it really viable. My childhood friend, Ryan, I hope you're watching this, but he used to love this silly card, and he would try and use it, but never really worked out. Instill Energy is great on a mana dork, but doesn't really see a lot of love, at least not in any of the matches that I've played up against. Invisibility, also no love. Iron Star, nothing. Ironclaw Orcs, nothing. It's a 2/2 for 2. It's a bear with downside, so whatever. Ironroot Treefolk, it's whatever. It's a 3/5 for 5. It's definitely not amazing. Here's our islands. We get to Island Sanctuary. 1 and a white, you may decline to draw a card from your library during your draw phase. In exchange, until the start of your next turn, the only creatures that can attack you are those who have flying or island walk. It's kind of cute. It shuts down if you're getting attacked or swarmed by a low to the ground deck. And if you have enough extraneous draw methods, so if you're running Library of Alexandria, if you're running Jawmid's Tome, you can forego that draw because you're drawing 1 or 2 additional cards anyways. And I've used it sideboard wise against swarm decks. Still no upside down cards, so we're going to keep plugging along. Ivory Cup, nothing. I don't use the Jade statue either, or is it? Yeah, Jade Monolith. Sorry, used the wrong name. I don't really use that either. I have used Jade statue. I ran an Abyss deck for a little while, and having people destroy all their creatures except for artifact creatures. This also gets around Wrath of God because it's activated. You normally only activate it on your turn, so it kind of dodges sorcery speed removal. It's a pretty powerful card, and I like it in shops decks. Jawmid Tome, I've said its name half a dozen times already. It's a great card. It's expensive, 4 mana to cast, 4 mana to draw a card, but in this format, it's a workhorse. Juggernaut, same as Jade Statue. It's a powerhouse. The only downside about it is it gets eaten by wrath effects, and it gets eaten by a bolt, but it's a good card. Jump, don't use it. Karma, sideboard if that's your bread and butter, but I don't ever use it. Keldon Warlord. Keldon Warlord more is iconic for the artwork. It's not a good card, but it's cute, and some people really love it. Cormus Bell, it's fun, and you make all the swamps, like you slow down those mono black decks because now their swamps have summoning sickness. So it is a lot of fun, and you can kill all the swamps. Kudzu, I don't really use it. Lance, no. Ley Druid. It got better as lands got better, and in this era, you just have dual lands, so it's not like you're tapping to untap a Gaia's Cradle. You're tapping to untap a land, so yes, it ramps you by 1, but it's a 3 mana, what can be accomplished by a Bird of Paradise. So, not great. Library of Lang, it's a cute card. I don't really use it. Same with Lich. Just too much going on. It's too much of a build around, and I don't build decks that are linchpinned around a single cute trick. I like a consistent, smooth gameplay, so every time I play Magic, it's always something. There's always a possibility that I could potentially close the game, and I'm not hard focused on just Lich or just the Demonic Tutor to find it. Life Force is like Death Grip, just, it does the same kind of thing, just opposite. Another Lace, Life Tap, not great. Bolt, on the other hand, is an amazing card, super iconic, and it's 1 for 3. And I would say, if I were to rank the 1 for 3s, I would say Ancestral Recall is the best. Demonic or Dark Ritual and Lightning Bolt, I would put them tied for second. I think that's probably a lazy out, but I would say maybe utility wise, Lightning Bolt is slightly better. Then shortly thereafter, Dark Ritual, then the Giant Growth, and very, 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 very last would be Healing Salve. Living Artifact is whatever. Living Lands is also whatever. Living Walls, gross because there's a fetus in it and it's an 06, but it can regenerate, so some people like it. I don't use it. Llanowar Elf, I do use. I like Mana Ramp, and he's low to the ground. He's a good turn 1 and brings you to your turn 3 plays real quick. Just like the Goblin King, we have Lord of Atlantis, but it's for the fish. And Merfolk get Island Walk and +1/+1, so that's kind of cool. Lord of the Pit is just another big giant Timmy card, and it's just not for me. So moving on, still no upside down cards. Lore goes with the Basilisk or the Cockatrice. It's just whatever. I don't like that cutesy little combo. Magical Hack it's okay. I don't use it, but if you want to do some land shenanigans, I will say Mahamodi Jin does a lot of heavy lifting. A 5/6 flyer for 6 can close a game out because there's not a lot that can get through this guy in this time. He can stifle most anything and just leave him untapped unless you've got their shields down, because they're not going to swing into it. I mean, what are they going to throw at it? Sarah Angel and try and do an additional damage? Sure, if they got you, they got you. But just a great card and one of the strongest creatures at this point in the game for cost versus benefit. Mana Flare, it's okay. I feel like half of the old school formats, or maybe even less than half, still use Mana Burn. So you can kind of indiscriminately use it if you want to try and ramp, but you're also ramping your opponent. And just like Howling Mine, I'm not giving my opponent extra cards. I'm certainly not going to double my opponent's mana. So Mana Flare is a big no for me. Mana Short, I don't use it. Mana Volt is amazingly strong, but got brokenly strong when we got to Urza Block, when we could start untapping artifacts with things other than Twiddle. It's a good card. It's essentially a 1 mana colorless Dark Ritual, but then it pings you until you can untap it. It's good. I don't use it, but if you do, awesome. I guess throw it in the comments down below what decks you use it in. I would assume just shops, but I don't know where everybody's using that kind of thing. Mana Barbs could be an alternative to the Black Vice for how you kill an opponent in a land destruction deck, but you're really going to grind them because you're also removing their source of damage. Meatstone is a great card if your opponent is playing a lot of larger scale creatures, especially creatures other than Sarah Angel. But if you are playing against Sarah Angel, you could tap it with your IC Manipulator and they'll be BFFs. And it's a beautiful Quentin Hoover artwork. Merfolk, much like the Goblin Bloom Brigade, we didn't have a lot of fish at this time, didn't have a lot of goblins in, but this is pretty iconic and one of the first ones. Mesa Pegasus, a flying bander, so, I don't have to explain. Banding, anything with banding is better than a Black Lotus. Mind Twist, I kind of want to get a new one. This one is super beat up because I use Mind Twist in almost every one of my decks. I'll splash black. So when I say blue and white are my jam, I always pepper in a little bit of black for Mind Twist, Demonic Tutor, and I'm a big fan of Greed from Legends. I'm a huge fan of that card. Mom's Goblin Raiders, give me another Gobbo. Here's our Mountains. And then we get into the jewelry collection. Like I said earlier with the Force Field, that weird art in the back, the background is very similar to... Where's Force Field? Force Field. and Mox Chat. So it looks similar. People contrast them all the time, but whatever. Moxes are good. If you have them and you're playing those colors, you use them. There's no reason not to. It's kind of like the Lotus. That's why they're Power 9. But I don't need to go into it too much. They're great. Natural Selection is a real fun card. It's essentially using today's verbiage, 1 green mana instant, scry 3. And that's cool. Or if you don't like your scry, you can shuffle it up. So really good card if you're doing mono green stuff. I do like card selection. So this one gets danger close into my deck list a lot of the time, but usually gets cut for removal or something. Neither Shadow is a really fun card and modifies game rules in a lot of facets because most people don't really care the order of your graveyard, but if you have Neither Shadow in your deck, your order of your graveyard cannot be changed. So you have to keep it as they go in there. So that's just a fun little change to the way that Magic's played. Nettling Imp, crazy strong card. Quentin Hoover artwork, beautiful. Forcing a non-wall creature to attack does so much heavy lifting. A, if you have a big blocker, you can force them to attack so you can eat it. B, in many instances, it's run in conjunction with Royal Assassin. So you force them to attack. When they tap to attack, you Royal Assassin it and just kill the thing. Nettling Imp is a crazy good card. And yeah, just doesn't see a lot of love, at least not in my groups. Nevin Neral's Disc, Larry Nevins, if you will. 4 mana comes into play tapped, and 1 mana destroys all, creatures, enchantments, and artifacts. So used in Disco Troll a lot, used in board wipe stuff. I mean, you can mana ramp out as much as you can and then blow everything up as a big catch up. And yeah, sometimes it catches you pretty well. My light just turned off. I assume the battery's low. And looking at the upper camera, it still seems pretty good. It's kind of dark here, but I'm just going to plug along. And yeah, still no upside down cards, so we're still good to go. Nightmare was a fun card as a kid. It's 6 mana, so it's okay. It's a flying asterisk, however many swamps you have, so it can be huge. It rarely is huge, but it can be. I fell for this in my decks quite a bit when I was younger. That would be my closer, and then I realized Drain Life is just better. So I kind of, in my mono black, I went from Nightmare over to Drain Life. Northern Paladin, I never really used. Obsidian Golem, I never really used. Orcish Artillery, some people like it. I personally do not. Orcish Aura Flame is, it should be 2 mana. It was printed in alpha as 2 mana, and then for some reason they errated it as if it was too powerful at 2 mana. The other effects, the Crusade and Bad Moon, are 2 mana for +1/+1. And this one, why does it got to be 4 mana for +1/+0 and it only affects attackers? This is terrible. It was marginal at 2 mana, but moving forward, Paralyze, one of the, I would say, the 3rd best removal spell in Old School. I would rank them Swords of Plowshares, Lightning Bolt, then Paralyze. Paralyze is super good, especially if you're doing a deck that has land destruction. But 1 mana to tap something down and it costs 4 to untap it. In most instances, that's essentially what they're paying to summon the creature in the first place. So yeah, it just locks them down. And heaven forbid you have the Icy Manipulator, as I alluded to earlier. Pearled Unicorn, no love. Personal Incarnation, it's just a big creature. I feel like these 6 mana somethings are mostly a trap, but Timmy's love them. And if you've closed a game out with them, I'm sure a lot of you Old School players have, because we all fell for those traps. But I would like to hear somebody's silliest Personal Incarnation story where they used a mirror universe and swapped lives and had this giant Personal Incarnation. I think if you have a story like that, put it in the comments. I would love to hear it. Pestilence is really good if you have enough life gain to break the symmetry of it. I was doing a Ivory Tower card draw where Pestilence was like really my only win condition, and I would just attrition them down. Yes, I was taking damage, but yes, they were too. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Phantasmal Forces, I don't really use it. Phantasmal Terrain, I have tried this in land or mana disruption deck because I was running blue, so I could get Ancestral and Time Walk, but and counter spells. But Phantasmal Terrain, I've tried it before. It's okay, but I would rather just blow it up. Phantasmal Monster, 3/3 flyer for 4. It's okay. I was definitely immediately outclassed by Arabian Nights, but it's okay. Pirate Ship is another Prodigal Sorcerer. Everybody loves Tim there. Prodigal Sorcerer, if you don't know the Tim reference, it's the Monty Python thing, and it's pretty popular in the old school community. I don't. If you play old school, I don't. This explanation isn't for you, obviously, but it's okay. But it's just weaker because if somebody blows up your island, you lose it, etc. Plague Rats was originally designed by the idea that you could have any number of them in the deck, and in a lot of old school formats, it's kind of received that errata where you could where you can run any number of them in your deck as you'd like. Plains, it's 4 of, or I mean a 3 of. Plateau, just another dual land. Power Leak is meh. Power Sink, as I mentioned earlier, this is in my ranking the 3rd best counterspell in old school. It does a lot of work, and it's easy to just sink something down because people are tapping out trying to get that Serra Angel. They're fully tapping out, and you can get them with that. Power Surge, I don't really use it. Prodigal Sorcerer, Tim off a boat, way better. Psionic Blast goes in that mono red burn deck, but if you want to pepper in some blue, so that way you can have the additional card draw, you can have the counter spells, you can have that 1, maybe 2 of Mahamudi Jinn, which, not gonna lie, does a lot of work. Psionic Blast is another nice direct damage. Psychic Venom is okay. I've never really used it, and still no upside down cards. So moving along. Pure Lace. Laces are garbage. Raging River is a lot of fun. It's just more niche play. I think it gets a lot more love in current generation EDH as just a, what does that card do? Kind of hipster play, but it's okay. It doesn't really see any love in old school that I've played against. Raise Dead, a good card. Red Elemental Blast. Oof. Maybe this is 2nd best counterspell. Maybe I say counterspell de facto, Red Elemental Blast, Mana Drain, then Power Sink. Red Elemental Blast does so much work because it counters that counter for only 1 red, so it looks like your shields are down. It stops that Ancestral Recall. It stops that Time Walk. It stops that giant Brain Geyser. It does so much work. Yeah, I'm going to say this is the 2nd best counterspell. I'm going to moonwalk it back, and it's okay to change your mind. Anyways, Ward, Junk, Regeneration, okay, but if the creature doesn't have Regeneration, it doesn't really see a lot of love. Its most redeeming quality is Quentin Hoover artwork, as per a lot of cards I've mentioned earlier. Regrowth, oh, this is like my only green card that I consistently use. It does so much work, and I love it. That's why this particular one sees almost no play, because I have a couple beta ones, and in old school, if you got an alpha beta, you tend to run those ones just because I don't have a lot of alpha beta. I'm not super rich to run alpha 40 or anything like that, but I do have some beta stuff, and Regrowth is one of them, and I love that silly card. Resurrection, it's funny because it's mono white getting stuff out of the graveyard, which it's kind of a color pie break from mono black being all the bring it back from the graveyard effects, but white used to have it. Reverse damage is a cute little stop hitting yourself kind of thing, but instead of taking the damage, you gain the life. And I don't know, the artwork's moderate, but it's okay. Righteousness, it'll get somebody if you got a Serra Angel and they think they're swinging in with this giant Shivan Dragon and they're going to burn it up. You can Righteousness and eat that big lizard up. Rock of Courageous. I like it because it's a call out to Legends, Kobolds of Kirkheap, but I don't really use it other than if I'm doing a Kobold theme thing. Rock Hydra was never really my jam, but Ryan, that I mentioned earlier, he had a deck and he was on the hunt for Rock Hydras and Vesuvan Doppelgangers. It was ridiculous. That was what he loved, though. Anyways, Rod of Ruin, another OG Christopher Rush auto, another Gen 1. Royal Assassin that I mentioned earlier. You tap it down with Icy Manipulator, you force it to attack with your Nettling Imp, and you shut him down. Beautiful. Sacrifice, it's okay. I mean, it's a mana ramp, but you got to get rid of a card through the use of a creature. So you're ramping, but you give up the card for the creature, and you give up the mana for that creature. So it's like time walking, or taking a turn away from yourself. So time walking your opponent by one, just so you can mana ramp. It's not that good to me. Samite Healer, I don't really use it. It's not that great to me. Savannah, dual lands, great card. Savannah Lion, in this era, one of the better creatures in the game, one of the best one-drops in the game, and immediately outclassed by Kirdape, which is my personal favorite creature in all of Magic, and I'm up to 41 because I picked up some that I'm going to do a mail day video, but I picked up 4 more Kirdapes. I only collect the Arabian Night ones because I had friends back in Florida that hoarded them, but nonetheless, Savannah Lion, great card. Scathed Zombies, Nothing Burger, Scavenging Ghoul. I mean, it does a little something, but doesn't really see any love. I will bring your attention to this upside down Scrubland. So we're going to take this out. As promised, it is a proxy, and as promised, I picked one up. And I'm going to go ahead and pop the logo up here. This is from Wizard's Cupboard, one of my very first game stores back home in Florida. This one specifically is located in Seminole, Florida. They have a huge inventory of old cards and a ton of sealed stuff. Don't know how big of a high roller you are, but I believe they still have a sealed box, a booster box of Unlimited. Completely sealed, factory sealed. That's a lot of Unlimited booster packs. So if you're a really big time YouTuber and you're wanting to crack a whole box of Unlimited one pack at a time, give them a call. I'm sure they'll be very happy to take your money. But yeah, got this from Wizard's Cupboard, and I picked up a majority of what I was missing today from Wizard's Cupboard. So the Bird of Paradise was the first one. That one I gave up and just ordered it on TCG because it was the last one. And then Scrubland. Script Sprites, super cute card. Low to the ground, gets you to ping in some damage. Sees a little bit more love in Edric's Spymaster of Trest commander decks, but between Script Sprites and Flying Men that we got in Arabian Nights, low to the ground flyers are always fun. Sea Serpent, it's nothing. You know, like you can't guarantee your opponents are going to have islands, so this doesn't really see any love. Sedge Troll, on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier with Nevinyrral's disc, is part of the namesake of Disco Troll. So amazing card. It can regenerate, and yeah, just a 2/2 for 3, but for a black, it can regenerate and get past the blowing up the board from the Nevinyrral's disc and get in there and ping them to death. So that is the second, and we are moving along. Singir Vampire, everybody loves him from your old school era. He doesn't see nearly as much play as he used to, and when he does, it's normally 1 or 2 of them in a deck. But awesome card, and they were like the arch enemy to Serra Angel because how would they would try and explain timing wise where if they attacked and the Serra Angel hit him and he hit her, they would both die, but when the Serra Angel died, he would get a +1 counter, so he wouldn't die, but that's not how damage is applied. They both take damage at the exact same time. They would both be put to the graveyard at the exact same time, so his trigger would fizzle. If you disagree with me or you have something to prove otherwise, please put it in the comments down below, because I've had this debate countless times, and I'm not a judge. I'm not going to pretend to be a judge, but it makes sense to me the way that I explained it. Anyways, Shannon Dryad is a Forest Walker for 1/1, whatever. Shatter sees a little bit of love, destroys the artifact for 2, but it does half of what Disenchant does. So why wouldn't I just run Disenchant? I guess if you're in mono red, sure, but Disenchant is twice as good. Shivan Dragon, super iconic, big old flappy lizard. Melissa Benson artwork. There's a ton of Shivan Dragon artworks, and a lot of people make fun of how kind of dopey it looks. I think it's iconic. It's the OG. It's not as sharp as some of the newer ones, but I like it. It's my favorite. But that is the iconic Shivan Dragon. Simulacrum, the errated text is a lot different than what this actually does, but it's a good card. I run it sometimes, but not that often. So I'm not gonna keep rambling. Sinkhole, as I mentioned earlier, with Ice Storm, does a lot of work. And Strip Mine, you'll have to go over to my Antiquities video to see Strip Mine, but yeah, BFS. Siren's Call, Sees No Love, Sleight of Mind. I've seen people try and pair it with Circles of Protection. So in their deck, they'll run like 3 Circles of Protection and a Sleight of Mind, so that way they can essentially change the Circle of Protection to make it useful in any match. It's a lot of hurdles to jump through for minimal benefit. Smoke, I guess, each player can only untap 1 creature during his or her untap phase. If you are running decks like Serra Angel and Mishra's Factories, the Mishra's Factories are not creatures on your upkeep, because the next turn around they turn back into lands. The Serra Angel didn't tap to attack. You can use this in conjunction with Paralyze, so even if they are paying to untap it, it slows a lot of stuff down, and it doesn't stifle the mana the way that Stasis does, but it's good, and it can be run as a sideboard against creature heavy decks, but I've never personally run it. Soul Ring, really, to me, is more of a power 9 than Time Twister. But then again, so is from Arabian Nights, Library of Alexandria. So I would say Time Twister would be the power 11, but I regress. Soul Ring, brokenly powerful in every commander deck. Otherwise, this would be, if this was reserve list like the Mox are, it would be more expensive than a Mox. Not even marginally close. Soulnet is whatever. Spellblast is good. I've run it before I really fell in love with Power Sync, because it was always fun to do that 1 blue mana, counter their Lotus, 1 blue mana, counter their Mox. But yeah, I kind of stopped running it. Stasis is good if you can break the parity of it. But although I do enjoy playing Control, I don't play Control like that. Steel Artifact is fun if you're playing a Theft deck. So you have like, from Legends, Rubinia Soul Singer, you're using Control Magic, the creature one. You can do Steel Artifact. You can steal all sorts of stuff from people, and this is just another method. What is this? Stone Giant is whatever. I'm going to put it in the same category as Earth and Fire Elemental. It's just whatever. Stone Rain, BFFs with Sinkhole and Ice Storm. They're just, in there forever. Together forever. Stream of Life is whatever. You're gaining life. Sure. That's just as powerful as Healing Salve. You're gaining life. Sunglasses of Urza. I've used this before in a Boros or a white-red deck, because it made all your planes into plateaus, and that was pretty cool. Swamps, beautiful. Swords of Plowshare, I've said this one's name half a dozen times already before we got to it. In my humble opinion, it is the best removal spell in Old School, and still might be one of the best removal spells in Magic the Gathering. Funny, I'm looking for one more unlimited copy of this because my deck would be Swedish legal, but I have one revised Swords to Plowshare, and they don't allow revised, so I need one more unlimited Swords to Plowshare. If you have one, put it in the comments. We could probably work a deal. Like I said with the ordering off of TCG Player, I know I could just order it and be done, but the hunt is the exciting part. The Bird of Paradise just got me, and I'll concede I probably should have held out and done this video later, but I was just so excited getting 5 of the 6 cards I was missing. Taiga, maybe right behind all of the dual lands with blue, holds a special spot in my heart because turn 1 Taiga into a Curd Ape, give you a 1 mana 2/3 on turn 1. So good, so good. Taiga, beastly. No more upside down cards in here. Moving on. Terror, it's a removal spell. You know, it's not crazy, but it's a removal spell. The Hive, a lot of words for little benefit. Thicket Basilisk, it's a ground dwelling cockatrice, so not great. Thought Lace, laces are bad. Throne of Bone, bad. There is that little rhyme with Solkanar the Swamp King, but yeah, it's only redeeming quality. Timberwolves, a 1/1 Bander, which is funny because white got a 1/1 Bander in common rarity, and Timberwolves is a rare, so this will break your heart to pull this thing almost as much as pulling a lace if you were to buy an unlimited pack today. The Times, Vault, Walk, and Twister, all amazingly powerful. These two are hands down substantially stronger. There's a myriad of ways to break symmetry on Time Vault, even more so in current generation Magic with Voltaic Key and all the different keys. And then there's Unwinding Clock, so it just untaps on every one of your upkeeps. So good. Understandably so that it's banned in Commander. Time Walk, great. Power 9, we all know that. It's awesome. Twister, this one's signed by Mark Teeden. This is the only Power 9 that is legal in Commander, and that's why it is the second most expensive piece of power, but the weakest out of all of them, because like I said earlier, to me, you'd have to have the Power 11 to make this get any kind of props. But moving forward, Twister, good card. Tranquility, if you don't run any enchantments in your deck and you're playing against an enchantment-heavy deck, it's a good sideboard. Tropical Island, little trop, all the dual lands with blue are good. Tsunami, if you're anti-blue tech. Tundra, great card, and blue-white is my wheelhouse, so I have 3 in Unlimited. I would like a 4th, but this is a little bit more expensive than just saying, hey, hit me up if you have an unlimited Swords of Plowshare. That one would be a little bit more of an investment, so I might have to save up my nickels and dimes a little bit longer to get my 4th one of those. Tunnel, it's whatever. Twiddle, I've mentioned it a few times. It's corner case niche uses, but good when it's needed, you know, if that's what you build around. Two-headed Giant of Voyeurs. It's unique. It's not good, but it's unique, so I'll give it that. Underground Sea is a great card, you know. It's blue dual land, and it does stuff and things. Unholy Strength, I think, is better than Holy Strength because knocking out that power is a little bit better, but I still don't run it. I feel like the little enchantment effects in this era are not nearly good enough because we only have 1 Enchantress, and that's not enough to carry a deck. So it gets way better the more Enchantress effects you have, but you're playing a whole different battery of cards and have way better enchantments. So I think the only neat little tidbit is it has the pentagram burning behind him, and the circle is ill-aligned for the circle, but That was removed later because of the whole 90s devil worshipping. The church was trying to scare people out of Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, and that pentagram had to be removed. Unsummon is a good card. I don't personally use it because I would rather just remove the thing, but it is a good card. Here's another regenerator if you're doing Disco Troll, and it's another troll, so it gives you a little bit of redundancy. Your Sedge Troll, your Ogden Trolls, and you're moving forward. Vidurian Enchantress is the first of the Enchantress effects. It's a good card. I mean, anything that says draw a card on it wins my heart, and I use it in Commander when I was actively playing Commander. I just don't currently, but yeah, moving forward. Upside down card, Vesuvan Doppelganger. This one is direct shout out to Orion as the Vesuvan Doppelganger collector. I'll go ahead and put that in there. And this one also came from the Wizard's Cupboard. Veteran Bodyguard. It's okay. It's 5 mana for a 2/5 and does the damage distribution thing. I don't really use it, but it's okay. Volcanic Eruption. I don't use that either. So I'm just going to keep on keeping on. Moving forward. Volcanic Island. Good card. Dual land with blue in it. All of the walls. And there are so many walls. One of which is common. The rest are uncommon. Some regenerate. One pumps to damage. And one flies, and 2 are just generic with a big butt. Yeah, that summarizes the walls. Wanderlust is not great. I don't really use it. War Mammoth, not great. I don't really use it. Warp Artifact. Well, wow, I could just copy paste. Not great. I don't really use it. Water Elemental, I classify it the same as Earth and Fire and Stone Giant. It's okay, but unless you're playing like a pauper version of the game where you're restricted on card rarity, or you're just starting and that's what you got. Weakness, 1 mana to give it -2, -1. I would rather use Paralyze, so never use that. Web, no, I don't use that either. I mean, it can make something bigger, but can also remove flying from something, but then it makes its butt bigger. I don't know. I wouldn't use it. Wheel of Fortune is a good card. Similar to Time Twister, though. It gives my opponent 7 cards. And that's really, I think, between where is it? The power scale of Power 9 versus Time Twister and Wheel of Fortune. To me, these are very closely power-wise. I don't know. I don't think either of them are that great. It's neat drawing cards if you've already shut your opponent down, but that is what I classify as a win more card, not just a good, generically universal good card. So I don't really use either of them. I'm probably going to have a handful of people disagree with me on that statement. So I would really enjoy the dialogue if you wanted to debate me about it in the comments. And I'm not 100% sure I'm right. I just know that's how I prioritize, and giving my opponent's cards is not high on my priority list. White Knight is the counter to the Black Knight, and just as good for the exact same reasons. Just as bad because you can still hit it with Swords of Plowshare. So not as good, but it dodges Paralyze. So moving forward. White Ward, garbage. Wild Growth is a good card. It's 1 mana. It ramps you. It gives you an additional green. So yeah, good card. It's less susceptible to removal than a Llanowar Elf, but it can't block. You can't sacrifice it if need be, but you can bet your dollars to donuts if you have a land with Wild Growth on it and they have a strip mine, it's going to eat it. Will-O-the-Wisp, super fun card if you're playing the long game. 0/1 flyer, can regenerate, so it blocks for days. Upside down card. Winter Orb. We're going to take this one out of here. Bloop. This one did not come from Wizard's Cupboard. This one came from a local deal right here in Spokane, Washington with a friend of mine. But yeah. So I'm going to pop that in there. He gave me a great deal on it because it's not playability wise, it's not that much more viable than a foil black bordered or whatever, but they knew I was collecting the set. They knew I was missing it. And some people are kind enough, and I'll give a shout out to Eric Tyson because he was kind enough to come out of his unlimited set because I was closer. And some of these cards in here came from Eric and his personal set because I was so much closer. And he's like, he's patient. He hadn't finished Power yet or anything like that, but he's getting there. He's got some, but he definitely, not this one specifically, but other cards in here. And I appreciate you, Eric. Windsphere Garbage, another upside down card. Look at that. 2-in-1 page that we're getting rid of. Bloop. And this is a Wizard's Cupboard card. And this is going to be the 5th card that I'm replacing. And if the keen listener will know that I was missing 6 cards. So we're going to keep on moving, and there's one more to go. And look at that. Last page. We got Wrath of God, which I've been running just revised ones in my deck. One in main board, one in sideboard. But like I mentioned before, I'm trying to make my deck Swedish legal. So I could use another Wrath of God. I could sub it out for something else if need be. But this Wrath of God came from Wizard's Cupboard. And that is a complete unlimited set. Now, those of you who have watched my videos know I always have a rule book after the set's complete. Well, the rule books, the alpha had a different rule book, and then beta and unlimited had the same rule book, and then they changed it again with revised, they changed it again with Ice Age and 4th edition, etc. But this rule book could have come from beta, could have come from unlimited, but it's in great shape. I don't think the little back has ever been breached, but I'm going to go ahead and pop that in there. And that is a complete unlimited set. Huge amount of work. I started this, I would like to say, maybe 2017. So about 9 years in the making. And I appreciate everyone and every shop and every trade and every deal, because I did not come out cash for any of the power. I did partial trades for all of it. Like my Time Twister, I did a trade for a big stack of dual lands and Gaia's Cradle for some of the Moxes that came from Gamers Haven. I did some store credit, some trade towards more store credit, some cash to kind of close the deal out. And the remaining 3 Moxes, Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, and Time Walk all came from Journey's End. So out of those, I really, really appreciate all of the trades and whatnot. I appreciate all of the support and comments that I've gotten over the, 16 months of making silly YouTube videos. And this one has been discussed since the beginning of it, and it is finally complete, and super happy to have this done. And I don't know. I do hope all of you are doing really well. I hope all of you are focused on your long and short-term goals. I think if you stay hyper-focused and you surround yourself by a positive support structure, even if it seems insurmountable, whether it's collecting an unlimited set, whether it's finishing a huge project that you're working on, whether it's I'm trying to lose 50 pounds, whatever your goals are, stay focused, be good to yourself, realize you're worth all the hard work that you're making. And I think that's enough positive motivation for it. I'm Rob. This is Bion MTG. Good luck and have fun.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below.